Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Do it or die now, stand your ground. Don't
We're back at 17 till. I'm Jim Blasingame. Thank you for hanging out with me. My pleasure to continue to be with you, as always. My website is smallbusinessadvocate.com, and I hope you check it out when you get a chance. Of course, if you go there, you can find the things. If you want to go back and listen to some of the things Gerald Celente has prophesied and has reported on and has projected would happen, you can go back and listen to the body of work that Gerald has deposited with us since he joined us way back in 1998, helping me found the Brain Trust. Gerald, as you know, is the author of Trends 2000. I helped him launch that book back in '98. He's his Trends Journal is famous around the world, and he's here to talk to us about some of his new ideas that he has in the new Trends Journal. And Gerald, thanks again for hanging out with us. Direct democracy. That's something that's really what you call the game changer. Tell us about that.
Well, look what's going on. This past summer, we just saw Congress in its full regalia make fools of themselves trying to whether or not to raise the debt ceiling or lower it. What a show. How could any respectable human being have any respect for Congress after the behavior that we saw?
It is amazing. It is amazing, Gerald. And I agree with you. I've said this. My audience has heard me say this. I've written about this. What I've said is they do these things without any sense of shame.
That's because they're sociopaths and psychopaths. And that's the credentials to be with one of these guys and women. They don't care. There is no shame. You never hear them say they're sorry. I just heard Dick Cheney out there peddling his book. And I'm a political atheist. You know that. You've heard me, take after both of them. Yep. And I have credentials in being a political atheist. I used to work in government. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. And I was also a government affairs specialist in D.C. throughout most of the 70s. So I know what it looks like. Anyway, Cheney's out there hawking his book, and they said, they had no weapons of mass destruction. It ties to Al-Qaeda. And he goes, with that arrogance, well, no one would argue that the world is better off without Saddam Hussein. Oh, yeah, my life has really changed. I'm so happy he's gone.
Gerald,
happy days are here again. Who are you kidding? What are you talking to, a 6-year-old?
Tell us what you mean by direct democracy, though. Define that for us.
The point being is that we have 535 people, essentially, congressmen and senators, telling us every day what we should do. The only people they represent, they don't represent the people. They represent the people that give them the most amount of money. Congress represents an oligarchy of interest groups, pure and simple. Look at the facts. Anybody want to debate that fact? Here I am. Let's go. You think you have a representative form?
That's the problem. That's where the pain is. But what is direct democracy, and why is it?
So direct democracy is you take Obama. He wants us to go to war with Libya. So what does he do? He hits the TV set one day, and there he is. We're going to war with Libya, but we're not going to call it a war. We're going to call it a time-limited, scope-limited kinetic action. A humanitarian mission. Yeah, that's what it is. And off we are. Let the people vote. You want to go to war with Libya? Here's why we're going. Let the other side say, here's why we shouldn't go.
So you're saying direct democracy is where the people on a regular basis, on a either daily or weekly or monthly or whatever, people vote on certain issues and give that information. In other words, you don't just get what your constituents want from the traditional way of phone calls, mail, or during the election time. You're talking about some kind of a platform that allows people to voice their opinion.
Well, yeah. Let's say what you said: emails, mail, telephone calls. You think they pay any attention to those things? You think your representative cares about you? Pick up the phone, give him or her a call, see how far you get. But then call back and say, I have $20,000 check that I'd like to give to Congressman Joe Blow. Then see how far you get.
So
what I'm saying is on major issues of war, issues of education, even issues like gay rights, same-sex marriage, whatever the major issues are, let the people vote. If we could bank online, we could vote online.
Well, here's the reason why I think you're onto something, Gerald, because I said for a long time that with the social networking platforms that we have right now, that politicians could get a better, more up-to-date read on what America wants. And I think you're onto something. And I've said for a long time that the only way to it seems to me the only way to get us out of 20th century thinking, to get us where we've got real people solving 21st century issues with 21st century solutions, is for there to be a revolution. When I say revolution, I'm not talking about with guns. I'm talking about electorate revolution, and what you're talking about is part of that, isn't it?
Exactly. Look, they do it in Switzerland. They have a direct democracy. People say, "Oh, it's a small country, only 7 million people." So what?
But when you say direct democracy, you're not saying abolish our government the way it's structured.
No, let the government carry out our orders.
Yeah.
These clowns get up there, Jim, and they call themselves public servants. None of them have cleaned my toilets, and none of them have done what I want them to do. It's time to serve the public. And then these loudmouths, they say things like, well, we did this because the majority of the people wanted it.
You know what, Gerald? I think I don't know.
Let me just finish the thought.
Okay.
And then when they don't do what we want, they say, well, I got elected to make the tough choices.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You got elected to represent us.
Maybe not in my and your lifetime, Gerald, but in this century, I think we will have what you just said. I think we'll have more direct democracy, as you described it. 10-10, when we come back, I'm going to ask Gerald, is there anything he's positive about in our future? Stay with us.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited.